Members of the committee, members of the council, we are now joined by Nancy Whittemore, our Director of General Services. Ms. Whittemore, if you'll introduce those with you, please.
I'd be happy to. To my right is Stacy Wall. He is the Assistant Director for Fleet. To my left is Diana Atwood, our Business Manager, and Diana Stevens, Assistant Director for Building Operations.
Thank you. And our threshold question is, can you operate within the mayor's proposed budget?
Yes, we can.
And with that, the floor, folks, if you would, we need to keep going. So we're delighted for you all to visit, but if you'd visit a little bit further back, thank you. The floor is yours for any remarks you'd like to make about the good work of General Services.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to highlight a few of our accomplishments and to also do some brief comments about the proposed budget. Since being here last year, we've completed 6 major construction projects. You heard from Chief White about the fire stations, which included Fire Station 20, Fire Station 21, Fire Station 11, the Madison Police Precinct, the DNA Crime Lab, and Douglas Head Start. We also have several capital projects that are currently underway. Highland Heights, which will be completed in June of this year. Midtown Hills Police Precinct will be completed sometime late July. The Southeast Davidson Library and Regional Park, August 2014, and the Bellevue Library, December of this year. We also are doing work on the ballpark at Suffordale, which the anticipated date on that is April 2015. In the area of the radio communications for 13 consecutive years, the public safety system has been maintained at a 99% availability for our public safety agencies. We're also wrapping up a $28 million comprehensive radio system upgrade. By upgrading to nationally recognized standards for public safety communication equipment, our users can effectively talk with first responders from other agencies across the nation in times of disasters. Currently, we have interoperability communication to the cities of Belle Meade, Berry Hill, Goodlettsville, Laverne, Mount Juliet, Vanderbilt Life Flight, and Police, and we're in serious discussions with the state of Tennessee and Williamson County as they build out their radio network, and we hope to include them as far as interoperable communications. In the area of fleet, we continue to support the Green Fleet Initiative by having diverse fleet with over 1,200 flex fuel vehicles, 91 hybrids, 2 electric cars, 26 propane units, and 876 diesel units. Alternative fuel options have always been important to reduce Nashville's carbon footprint. We purchase ethanol, tin gasoline, and biodiesel at our bulk sites, and we promote the use of ethanol 85 where it's available throughout the community. You heard Chief White and others who have alluded to the capital plan that was approved for the $15 million for heavy equipment. In phase 1 of that plan, 6.8 was allocated to Public Works, 6.4 to Fire, $1 million to Metro Action Commission, and just over $700,000 to Parks. There was questions about what's been ordered as a result of that $15 million. We have 6 ambulances that have already been ordered and a Public Works roll-off truck. We're working with the departments and working on specifications, and also we have several pieces that are already in the procurement process. If you look at our proposed budget, you will find that building operations and our postal, we're moving from internal service fees to general fund programs. After lengthy discussions with OMB about the pros and cons, they were evaluated. The decision was made to move forward with these 2 divisions. We will be proposing the Division of Fleet Management and Radio Communication in FY16. If you looked at our large inventory for both of those divisions, the conversion that would need to take place in the EBS program was not doable for July 1. In the proposed budget, it eliminates the maintenance and support for LDRPS, which is Metro's Business Continuity Disaster Recovery application. There's also $100,000 reduction for the radio system, which is mainly around parts and maintenance. Fuel availability will reduced by 82,000 gallons, and that translates into $250,000. In the area of facilities, there's a reduction over $200,000 that would result in decrease in janitorial services, which means basically we would go to cleaning programs after hours instead of during the day. The proposed budget also includes some modifications, one for $1.5 million to fund operating costs for the Madison Police Precinct and Crime Lab, Midtown Precinct, Bellevue Library, Southeast Davidson, Douglas Head Start, and the Central Police Precinct. There's a transfer in the budget for just over $500,000 from Health Department to General Services for the operating costs of the new Lentz Health Center. The proposed budget also transfers security for general services facilities to the Davidson County Sheriff's Office, and this transfer would be about almost $1.2 million. As you know, the Sheriff's Office currently manages security here at the courthouse along with the Birch Building and General Hospital. They have a division for security services, and we think moving this to staff to them along with the money is the right thing to do, and it's a win-win situation for all of us involved. This concludes my comments, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Councilman Claiborne.
I beat you, Charlie.
He did. He did. It was a close race, and he won.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Whittemore and group for being here. You heard the question that I asked the chief about maintenance as it relates to pieces of fire equipment. Can you explain to us basically the process? I mean, when a vehicle comes into the facility over there, what is the process that is followed in taking care of whatever that need is?
I'm going to let Stacy Wall, since he's involved in the day-to-day operations, let him answer that.
And that microphone will pull up from the each have one. There you go.
The process begins basically in the fire department, if we're using those for example. The fire department communicates with each other inside to make sure that the halls are covered and the areas are covered. Once the truck's decided to be taken out of service, it comes to fleet. We take all the information from the driver or whoever brings the vehicle in. And once we get that, we put it in a process of, priorities. Priorities could mean however many pumpers is down, or trucks, or ladders, or whatever, the concerns may be. Once that's done, we also look at it to do analysis on whether it's feasible for us to do it in-house or send it outside to a contractor. Most time, outside contractor would be warranty or recalls and stuff like that. And basically, once that happens, the truck's looked over, parts is ordered for it if needed. Try to get it changed out and back in service and notify the fire department and let them decide when to pick it up and when to get it back in service.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to understand, is there a getting in line process? I mean, you get vehicles from all the different departments that you have to take care of. So do you kind of take them as they come, or is there, in the prioritizing process that you're talking about, is there special consideration given to certain pieces of equipment that is more critical than, say, a sedan that, is not going to affect somebody's home or property or life, perhaps?
That's correct. Public safety vehicles are always first. They're put ahead of the others. I mean, we can't really put keep pushing everybody to the back. Public safety vehicles are first. We talk with the departments and try to figure out what the department needs, what's on the street and what's not, and make our decision from there. But we do take them in as they come in. They come in order, and we place them in order, but we do a triage to see what's wrong with them, as well as do an overview of what's on the street.
Okay. There's just, there's a lot of question marks.
Yeah, there's a lot of equipment, and I understand, but public safety vehicles are first. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. I mean, there's a lot of safety checks. There's a lot of things we have to go over to assure that's fixed or it's correct for state inspections and stuff like that. The fire trucks, you mentioned the sedan. The fire trucks are a lot more complicated. They're a lot more technical than the sedans are.
Right.
Sedans, a lot of the parts and stuff's local. The fire equipment, most of the stuff is, has to be built as you order it. Nobody wants to stock it because of the cost. As well as we don't stock a lot of stuff. We try to stock what we can move, but I mean, we don't, put something in stock and hold a $10,000 item that moves once every 3 years.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
we can't stock everything to keep them running. It is a difficult task.
Thank you. Ms. Whittemore, on the janitorial service, are the folks who do the janitorial service, are those Metro employees or are those contract employees?
It's a contract.
It is a contract?
Yes.
Okay, so you're looking then at reducing the contract, is that what you're saying?
Yes. So what we'll do, right now we have services that are provided during the day, and then we have services at night. Some of the day services are based upon the needs, let's say, for the courts here. But we'll have to work with each department and talking to them about how we would provide those services at night.
Okay. And one other question, can you tell us where we are with the fuel hedging program?
You want to talk about that, Diane? You have that.
Are we still?
We are. I don't know, Rich, do you want to?
Council, yeah, we're in the fourth year, I believe, of our third or fourth year of a fuel hedging program. We have contracts through the end of this fiscal year. We've not yet entered into any contracts for fuel hedging for the next fiscal year. We have an order out, and we're waiting for prices to drop. So that's a more attractive a hedge for us to get into. I think for the first time since maybe the first or second month of the program, we had 1 or 2 months this year in which we actually owed money rather than received money, but it was a very small amount, and the net has still been very much beneficial to the government. So we continue that program. We hope to have some new contracts in place. We continue to, as we get new contracts, we of course send that to the council for their knowledge and do a monthly update as we get the report. So it's worked extremely well. It allows us the ability to better budget so that there's no great fluctuations one way or the other. I think it's I know MTA, which participates, along with schools and fleet, I think have found it very, very helpful for them going forward, and we'll look to continue it.
Okay, and I have one more quick question. Do you realistically expect to see any pumpers hit the streets in this coming fiscal year?
It's a possibility. Right now, we're waiting to get the specifications back from the fire department. Once we get those and agree on them, we'll get the orders put in. And like Chief said, it's on some of the equipment, it can take up to 12 months by the time it's delivered. But it is possible to get some, but it'll be later on.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Tiger.
Is there any intergovernmental cooperation between outlying counties on repairs of equipment? Based on your comment about the complexity and all the different styles of equipment, it would seem to me that there might be some economies of scale if governments would buy the same brands, or is that beyond the realm of possibilities?
That's very possible. One thing we have done is try to standardize what we have, and we're continuing to do so. But yes, it does. It makes it a lot easier. It makes parts more available. the technology and everything, the training, everything's more available when you do that, yes.
So when you talk about developing specifications on these equipment, why are we not just using the same specifications unless there's been, great improvements or enhancements so that the training is less, you're familiar with this equipment? Tell me a little bit about how that works.
The specification is left up to the department, the end user. We look over it to make sure that it's a road-worthy piece of equipment and make sure that the mechanical stuff in it is stuff that we can get, has not had a long list of troubles and stuff like that. This year, we're looking at the spec just because the contracts has run out, and we'll go back out possibly for another contract. We usually go on 5-year contract, but this time we're looking at, well, actually the fire department's looking at doing something different. As Chief said, they're looking at getting some less technical pieces of equipment that doesn't take as much time and as much training and everything else to operate as well as repair. So hopefully that's going to come out in our favor.
Well, it's pretty amazing how much feedback that those of us sitting in these seats get from Parks Department or Public Works. If a chipper truck is out of service and our neighborhood doesn't get their brush pickup on a prescribed date, as opposed to a fire truck or a pumper being out or whatnot. I mean, it's pretty incredible that even down to you get a sheriff's community service crew and if they're not complaining about we got the wrong brand of weed eaters out there that don't run type thing. And I think I heard two different numbers. I see a $250,000 reduction in fuel, and that translated to X number of gallons, and one place I see 185, and I think you mentioned...
It's $82,000, 82,000 gallons.
What's this OFM proposed fuel reduction result in lack of fuel availability of 279 gallons?
Was that our original? Originally, what we had submitted was much larger. I think it was like almost $1 million, and so that's how that translated. So with the reduction down to 250, that was just an oversight, I would think, in the budget book.
Okay. So, Rich, what happens if, we're 82,000 gallons difference, and if prices continue to rise, worst case scenario, just a supplemental appropriation? We're going to buy fuel no matter what.
Right. We're not going to park fire trucks and things of that nature. And so
sure.
If there's an issue on fuel, we would either do a supplemental like we did for MTA 3, maybe General Services and MTA 3. I'm not sure if General Services got that fleet, but 4 or 5 years ago when fuel prices went crazy in the spring, MTA was forced to get a supplemental appropriation to cover that purpose. So that's what we do. And obviously we'd look to see if they had any savings in their budget first. But if not, the government's going to operate.
So is this proposed reduction in fuel is basically telling Ms. Whittemore and her department to run a tighter ship type thing, and hopefully we won't have to go that route?
That's what we're always trying to do. Yeah,
I understand.
That's correct.
I think also when we went forward with our 3% reduction in fleet, instead of reducing the number of vehicles, because that would be the next thing you would have to do. So what do you do? Reduce the vehicles, or do you look at fuel? And so in talking to finance, we decided to go with fuel. Also, fuel prices have been fairly steady. We've not seen a big upswing in them. Not to say we won't, because you don't know what will happen, but we feel comfortable that doing that, it was much better than reducing. I think it was 82 vehicles, something like that, we would have to reduce if we took if we used 3% there.
Are there any studies that compare the true cost of green vehicles versus diesel versus propane versus hybrid versus gas over time to see what route? We all want to reduce the carbon footprint. Does that come with a cost?
That does come with the cost. If you we've looked at our maintenance costs on all the alternative vehicles, and we cannot say to you we're saving money on maintenance cost. When you look at versus the purchase price of it, where you get your benefit is the environment. Now, electric vehicles is a different story because you're actually saving fuel there, but you can't, the distance that those can go, you're limited on those. We use those in the downtown area, and we're actually ordering, 3 more now?
Correct.
3 more vehicles for the downtown court, to use downtown.
If there are any, reports that, it's sort of like when we've had the discussion about green buildings, LED, or LEED certified buildings versus non-LEED certified, and the impact initially versus the long-term benefits. I'm not sure that we ever follow up with our studies and say, hey, we made a good investment, or we've done this differently or that differently.
Yeah, we can get something to you on that.
Okay, final question is, we talk about this all the time, but I see that you have in your budget a new position for an energy manager position. Tell me a little bit about what this new position will do, and will it help Ms. Waller when her feet get cold by these windows in the wintertime?
I know you were really cold this winter, too, because everyone was cold. We have tried to fill this position on numerous occasions, an energy manager, and we've not been successful in doing that.
For what reason?
Well, I think it's the salary range is the reason, So we've contracted that service out, and then as we have reduced our staffing over the years, that we did not have that position. We are in the process of putting in place, one of the things that we've worked on is doing automation in the buildings so that we can manage the buildings and drive down cost. And so we are going to be in the position through technology, to watch our buildings perform and monitor that. We need someone who can analyze that data and help us, looking at how we reduce the cost. Little different level than we've been looking for in the past. So we feel like we can be successful in getting a person that can do that. When you manage 5 million square feet facilities, it's important that we have the data. And, we've talked about data, and we have a lot of data, but it's how you bring that data in, what kind of analysis you do, and then how you use that data to manage your buildings. The technology, next year, we'll be talking about that technology, and we'll be able to, at our fingertips, tell you how the buildings are performing, not just in general, but very specifically.
Will this building be one of the pilot projects?
Yes. Well, let me go a step further in talking about the cold, Ms. Waller's cold feet. Every year we have this conversation, and
by the way, she does not build a fire under her desk, as it's been reported.
Because we might need the fire department if she did. We have requested money through the capital process for doing rehabbing the windows here. This year we've resubmitted it, and it actually made the spending plan. So it will be, if it passes council, then we will have money to start our project here. We've been partnering with Snyder Electric. They have done some assessments, not only of general services building, but libraries and water services. They are coming back with recommendations to us on what steps to take, and we asked them to do the courthouse. So the money that's been proposed in that capital budget, I believe, is $4 million. That's the first phase of making this happen. And so there will be improvements here at the courthouse on windows. It's one of the things that we'll be doing.
Can I suggest which second floor window you start with?
I know exactly where you're going to suggest.
Ms. Whitmore, thank you very much for being here. Thank you all for your good work. We are running 10 minutes ahead, so if you all will walk slowly up here, we're going to reconvene in about 4 or 5 minutes.